Welcome back, guys, to the Disc Golf Show. Today is October 7th of 2025. This is episode 20 of the 2025 season. This show is brought to you in part by our local pro shop, and that is Final Nine Sports. They have one location in Orangevale and another location in Rocklin, that is in the Northern California area. Big shout out to our local pro shops. We love them. We always suggest go to your local pro shop to try to get your swag, your gear, your equipment, all that good stuff. Go there. However, if you are unable to find what you're looking for at your local pro shop, we've got a remedy for that, and that is our other sponsor is Disc Golf Deals USA. You may have seen them as a sponsor on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but they are also a partial sponsor of our show, and we appreciate them very much. If you want to save 10% off, go to Disc Golf Deals Show. There are a few caveats there as to what does accept that 10% off, but pretty much 99% of that store, you can get 10% off. Baskets, bags, carts, all your discs. Go check that out. Again, discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow. We will run through a bunch of stuff here that you've probably already heard about or discussed already with your friends or whatnot. Just a few things before we get into the chunk that we really want to get into. The 2025 class of the World Disc Golf Hall of Fame was announced, and that all includes Meresmaa, Sharon, Jenkins, Avery Jenkins. He was on our show back in the day. Brian Schweberger and Dan Doyle. So shout out to those guys for getting included in the Hall of Fame. Everybody knows that you guys do deserve that. Yeah, so good on you. Big shout out to Jomez Pro. They actually hit 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, and that is a massive benchmark to hit. So only way is up, right? They're going to continue to grow. The quality videos that they provide are always appreciated. I did have, and maybe you've heard something about this. I saw something about the possibility of Ben Callaway stepping away from the tour moving forward. So I don't know if how substantial that information is, but it sounds like he may not be part of the tour next year. Have you heard anything on that?
Just more focused on family. He does have some, a newborn that he's missing quite a bit. I don't have children, but, I know that everybody who has them pretty much says, hey, that's the hardest thing is leave your children behind, leave the wife behind, especially with the newborn, things like that. So I think it's more just the grind of the tour, missing home life, wanting to be there for significant, milestones as his child grows or children, or I don't know what he has, but I know he has at least one.
I mean, I totally respect that. Yeah, I totally respect that decision because, that's kind of part of why Kristin stepped away. And I think that we've seen several of the FPO have kids over the past year or two. You hate to see them leave, but it's completely understandable as to why they do. So hopefully maybe in the future we'll see him come back. Congratulations to Ben, and we hope all the best for him moving forward in his endeavors outside of disc golf and inside if he does, and when and if he does come back. There was an announcement from PDGA that they've discontinued the long-running DiscGolfer Magazine. So the physical copy that has ran for 17 years or so, it sounds like, is coming to an end. And it sounds like there was a good chunk of money that was going towards that. And as much as I like having those physical items,
sure,
I can totally understand why this is being removed from what they provide, because it mostly was recap. It was mostly recap stuff. Obviously, future events were included in that. A lot of the stuff was kind of dated information by the time you got it. And it's kind of like some of the stuff currently, and we'll get into some changes coming up maybe with the show, how some of these items that we talk about, you heard last week because we're in every other week podcast. Probably going to be changing. But it makes sense. It makes sense as to a magazine that doesn't have the most current information not being valuable moving forward.
Yeah, the digital age is here. Instant gratification, that quick hit thing, and that's nothing that the PDGA magazine offered, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And there was that one, what was it? Pucker magazine. Do you remember that?
No.
They had one issue, and the issue, because I picked it up, this was back in the day, it was made so well. The quality of it was
Mhm.
like a full-on like magazine.
Okay.
But it was, again, I think too expensive, at least at the time,
Right.
to to make it work. And it was awesome. I'm glad I got it because it's kind of like a keepsake type thing. It's it like I said, it reminded me almost of like Thrasher, the skateboard magazine.
That I know that
But
magazine. Sure.
but yeah, like you said, the physical stuff, unfortunately, in this manner, is going by the wayside. But
Mhm.
hey, something else will pop up in its place. Hopefully, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully
The
they'll get
last,
more involved in social media and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. So the last event that not just happened, but 2 weekends ago was the MVP Open. We'll skim over this pretty quick. You already know who won that. We had Missy Gannon for FPO and Cole Redalen for MPO. One thing that I did note to myself was that both of those people had aces during the event.
Yeah,
So I know that there were more than one ace. And if you want to jump in here, you
sure.
can say some stuff that you experienced because you were able to go to that.
Yes, thanks to you and Disc Golf Show, and I think you said Steve Dodge
Thanks to
directly, right?
Steve. Thanks
Yeah.
thanks to the Dodges for sure.
And if you search Can You Putt on socials, well, only on Facebook right now, you'll see me with Steve Dodge, and I got his autograph and everything. Met him. This is the third or fourth time I've met Steve. He doesn't know who I am because he's so busy. But just in a
He's a busy guy.
nutshell, as an experience, as a bucket list place to go, not only to play, because the course is amazing. I have played it once and now I've gone to an event there. To go there for the event, I highly recommend it. Set off some vacation time, get there, go there. I parked there on site one night and then I also used the shuttle service. Again, so from start to beginning, perfect. Shuttle service, perfect. On time, ran frequently, never had an issue with getting on or off the shuttle with seating or anything like that. Real quick, then moving into the event, Fly Mart was always there, always open. You could find just about any disc you could ever possibly want while you're there. All the staff that they hire themselves will also guide you along. They're always there, always out there on the course, things like that. The volunteers that are there, the paid volunteers, which I think is great, are there at every hole. You'll see them every day out there providing you any kind of information you want, things like that. The crowd is amazing, as you always hear on, you know, everybody talk about, all the pros talk about, and stuff like that. Again, seeing it in person just elevated that even further. You can literally hear the 8 holes on every single shot that everybody throws when they're clapping, when they move up to the tee pad, when they cheer, when they hit the island or miss the island shot. It is amazing. It is awesome to see the property itself. Like I said, just a Christmas tree farm, all that aesthetically beautiful. It really is kind of set on its own little place. There's only one hole that could really even see or hear cars, and other than that, it's to itself. The pros set up at an autograph tent right after they were done with their rounds. I'd say 99% of them were available. There were a few that weren't, and we're not going to judge them why they weren't there, why they didn't stick around. They just weren't for whatever reason. But most of them that stayed, I got pictures with a ton of them, FBO, MBO. A lot of them, even if you see walking through the crowds, you could kindly ask them if they want to stop for a picture. Most of them seem to want to do that. Again, you got to take it with a grain of salt if they say no, because if it's, say, like Simon or Eagle or whatever, if they stop for you, they're going to stop for 20 minutes, then maybe even longer, because of who they are. So give them that respect. If they're walking through the crowd or whatever, let them go to their destination. You don't know what other obligations they have. Again, I found every disc I wanted and every piece of merch there. Got to meet the two hot geese, speaking of YouTube, Jomez and their thing. So it was great to talk to both of them and interact with both of them, get pictures with them and stuff like that. the accommodations, there was plenty of seating. I sat up on 18. You can see me in coverage. I'm on 18. I'm on hole 2 bleachers. I sat at the basket at both of those on 2 and 18, or 3. 2 and 18. So again, the atmosphere was electric. Listening, physically hearing the disc come out of some of the pros' hands is just incredible. To see them make those shots live in person. The camera doesn't do it justice as just kind of following along, or even your Jomez, flight lines and all that just don't do it justice when you actually see them throw across that lake, on hole 1 and down into the Christmas tree farm, or when you see them throwing on hole 14 over the lake and, avoid the wood hill, embankment. I was also on the tee of 8, so I got to see the 8 holes in person, like looking across at them and hearing the cheers and everything. It was phenomenal. So thank you again, Nick, Steve Dodge, everybody involved in getting me there. It was a phenomenal, phenomenal experience, and I highly recommend it to everybody. If it's on your bucket list, make it a point to go.
Well, I'm just gonna live vicariously through you, because that is one of my bucket list events / courses to play. It'd be amazing. I did have a couple questions for you. One is, how was the food truck? Did they have food trucks there? Did they have just a restaurant or a snack place?
They had a couple different food trucks for you there. Probably only 3, and then they had a little part in a barn that had like your daily snacks and coffees, things like that.
Okay.
Steve Dodge kept throwing out free little scooter pies, they're only like that big in the tin foil. He was throwing those out. They had the ice cream social. They had cookies that they were giving out. They gave out some stuff too, which again made it really fun. But I would say for sure that's something they could improve on. Because like I said, I think at best there was 3 food trucks, and that was it. So not the greatest, best variety, that.
But they had some. That's good. And the reason why I bring that up is because when Justin and I went to Champions Cup, we discussed that being one of the things, is the whole the food portion of the event. And there's always going to be something that can be improved and improved and improved. And we're not knocking it for how it currently is. It's just one of those things that I always like to highlight our constructive criticism.
Actually, that's right.
Yep.
There was another food truck on the course, and then there was another vendor with like snacks and stuff up top by the castle hole. So, correction, I forgot about that. Again, we talked offline, and I'll say it here. My pass had limited access. I couldn't get to everywhere in the course. So if I'm talking out of
pocket,
if I'm making a mistake, yeah, please feel free to correct me. There was definitely another food truck by 14, and like I said, some snacks up by 10. There could have been more, but that's what I saw. 3 at like the Fly Mart, and then 1 in the course, and then up the castle hole.
Yeah, and Tournament Central is really where the majority of things should be anyway.
Yeah.
So, because that's where you come back as the hub. But again, like I said, definitely one of my bucket list items to do. Okay, well, let's move forward to the future. And by the future, I mean the next event that's going to be coming up in a couple days here.
Sure.
I wanted to talk a little bit about USDGC. Not so much about TPWDGC, Throw Pink, but more so USDGC, because that's the major, right? We can always get into the conversation of whether Throw Pink should become a major and all, USWDGC, what happens with that. That's a whole other discussion. I did notice that they had started doing some social media things about things that were changed or updated. And I saw that it looks like some of the OB lines were being addressed, and maybe in a way that it's less likely that discs, there will be less of an issue about whether a disc is in or out and how those lines are installed. The biggest thing, I think, is the new baskets that they're talking about. So if you notice, or if you've seen, there's a couple videos out by a couple pros that are saying the baskets are new. They have a different inner chain setup to hopefully cushion the disc as it gets closer to the center pole. So we'll see. USDGC is one of those events that tries to push the envelope on different aspects and ways that the course can adapt and change, and things that can be included to whether it makes it not necessarily more difficult, but challenging in other ways. I think it's cool to see a major do that. This event's always held here. It's not one of those majors that moves around, and I love that. It reminds me of the Masters for golf. That's kind of what I relate USDGC to personally. But I think I'm curious as to what the outcomes are and the opinions of the pros on these new baskets. One thing that I've not always, fairly recently, I think not only could this be used for advertisement purposes, I think that there's an easy fix to this. If they're trying to address less kickouts, right? Spit outs, backs, like the chains pushing it out or it hitting the pole and bouncing. If you just put a really dense foam, a thin, dense foam sleeve over the center pole in the basket, you could use it for advertising, and you could use it to cushion the disc as it comes in and if it hits the pole. Thin, dense foam can drastically change the reaction of that disc hitting that center pole. I don't know if anybody else I know that they use these different chain configurations, which is great and all, but I feel like that's a super easy, simple change. And like I said, you can raise funds more because it's another aspect of advertisement that could be used. I don't know. I like to throw that out there when there's anything that's related to the basket spitting out and all that, because I don't know if anybody's thought about that outside of myself. I'm sure somebody has, but I always like to put that suggestion out there. Another aspect of things that is being used for this event, which I like this because I know DD has done this, Dynamic Discs has done this in the past. They've created apps. Well, it's not so much as USDGC creating their own app, which actually I think they should do. They are using an app called Evynture. It's Evynture. If you download this app, it can give you access to a map to where it gets your location, so you can just see where you are, is what I believe, because it does ask for your location, so you can see what the Winthrop Arena course area looks like and where things are. It gives you notifications for merch drops in the pro shop. It helps you locate food, bathrooms, tee boxes, and more. It also has a kind of a cool thing, because I downloaded it just to see what the app looked like. It actually has like a scavenger hunt portion to it. So like you can go on side quests to find like little hidden gems on the property and stuff like that. Like one of the things that's in the app, it has like a little golden squirrel, and it says, "Did you find the golden squirrel?" Whatever that gives you, whether you find it and you take it somewhere, maybe you win something, I'm not sure. But it's kind of cool that there's these little things that maybe people with their kids can do outside if there's a lull that they want to step away from the competition and go do these things. You can get updates on where to go see the latest action. Kind of a cool thing. I think that we were talking about the digital aspect of disc golf. Yeah. This is another thing that I think is advantageous for events in general. Disc Golf Pro Tour, the Disc Golf Network obviously has its own app. Disc Golf Pro Tour, I'm not sure if they have their own app yet. I think this is definitely something that is going to be a important item for them to look at for all these events, because everybody always has their phone on them. Everybody always has, that, like, if you go to Disneyland, they have a Disneyland app. You go to Universal Studios, there's that app to help you find things. Super advantageous across the board. But yeah, go check it out if you want to look to see what is included in that. Again, it's Evynture. If you look it up on your app store or Apple store or whatever it is that you have for your phone, go check it out. As for tickets pricing for this event, I think it's very affordable. Tickets for single day start at $25. So if you're in the area where Winthrop is, go check it out. It's $25. Go enjoy your day out there. See some awesome competitors throw out on that course. That course is a iconic course. So if you are in the area, this is one of those courses that if you play disc golf at all, this is one of those that you want to go check out. One cool thing that they do is kids under 10 are free at this event. Active duty military and veterans are free with ID. Super awesome there. And after 5 p.m., everyone's free because most likely the competition is over, but they do have championship week festival that they do after every round. So with that, there after each day's competition, there's fresh, they call it the Fresh and Now concert series, and that starts at 6 p.m. So you could come in, maybe like you said, get signatures.
Yeah.
Maybe they're still around, the pros are still around, maybe you can get pictures, signatures.
Yeah,
you can go to these.
MVP Open had something after every night. There was something to do, whether it be karaoke that they advertised, like I said, the ice cream social, distance contest, close to the pin. I think they called it this year. They had the robot that Simon worked with in his video. That was actually there on the site. So there was those kind of, there was definitely some activities afterwards. And if USDGC Throw Pink is doing that, I would absolutely recommend going just to do that.
Yeah, I think them including all these other activities are great, like the food trucks and vendors, which we discussed. There's always a fly mart at these events, and Tournament Central, Kids Zone. They've been doing that for the past several years now, which is awesome because you don't want to have, like, if you can't find somebody to watch your kid for this event, take them with you, man. Let them see this. The thing that you're passionate about, include them in it. And then live art installations and more. So I think I know that they've done that at other events where there are artists that paint as a team and paint these cool murals and paintings that they do, and then they sell them or raise funds for certain things. I think that's really cool. This is one of those events that I always look forward to because almost every hole out there is an iconic hole. It's almost, MVP is very close to that. There are a couple holes at MVP that I think that are filler holes, but they're great holes, but they're just not iconic holes. I think almost every hole at USDGC at Winthrop is one of those holes that you can remember being something great. And then let's go ahead and move on forward. We will move into the question of the episode. Question of this episode, and I'll also include this down in the comments below so you can discuss it via the comments section. Question for this episode is, should earbuds and rangefinders be removed from professional play? We've brought this up in the past. I don't know if you have any major opinion on this. I definitely do. I think they should be gone. I think it evens out the field as to the distractions that are involved with the competitors that are out there. I think it lowers the time when you talk about rangefinders as to the time that people are taking on their throws. As for the earbuds, like, you can zone out and not have those distractions. I think distractions are part of the game, especially when you have spectators. I think that's something that you should deal with as a professional. You need to learn how to deal with those distractions without any way to get around them outside of your own mental capability. I don't know about you, but that's the short of it from my end. I could definitely go in more depth, but go ahead. What do you got, Ken?
I definitely agree with that. Earbuds should not be allowed. Not for any competitive advantage or anything. I don't think it, I mean, maybe it does help some disc golfers, like you said, kind of zone out and concentrate more. I just think as a safety issue, as a, hey, I'm talking to you and I don't have to, hey, get your attention, speed of play and things like that. And speed of play is what leads me on to rangefinders. I don't think they should be allowed during the tournament. I think if your venue isn't doing a good enough job of marking things off of where distances lie, and if I think your caddy or yourself aren't doing enough homework, during your practice rounds, then that's on you. It takes too much time. It's just, especially now that the advertisement isn't there. Like, I really think they honestly, they didn't say it, but they let rangefinders in because Bushnell started advertising with them. Plain and simple. It was a hand feeds the mouth, hey, we're going to let rangefinders in. guess what? Bushnell's now a sponsor. Now that Bushnell's out of disc golf again, get him out of there. Again, you use them during your practice round. Write down your notes, keep track of it, get both earbuds and rangefinders out of disc golf.
Awesome. I completely agree. I think that was definitely a big point is that I was going to say, and then you said it right then. It's perfect for your practice rounds. Get those numbers dialed in, and a lot of these courses, like you said, also with golf, they have markers in the ground. With disc golf, they're starting to include those stakes that are colored stakes that show you how far you are out from the pin. So I think that's definitely what needs to happen moving forward. What we'll do now is we can cover really quickly the gear and equipment. Let's move on to that segment really quick. Have our sponsor for this segment is, again, at the beginning you heard him. At the beginning was discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow. They are the sponsor for sure of gear and equipment segment. You can get 10% off your order. Some exclusions do apply. But we'll run through these really quick. We had September 29th, we had the Discmania FD2 new approved. We had Doomsday Discs Blight approved. We have, and then moving forward, those are the only 2 discs approved on September 29th. And then moving on to yesterday, October 6th, there were 5 discs approved. First one was Discraft Fossil, or otherwise known as RW-1025-P, which means Ricky Wysocki putter. That one was approved. Again, it's called the Fossil. Discount Disc Golf had Player 2 approved. And then we have a company called True Par Disc Golf. They had 3 discs approved. The first one, the Guardian Angel, which is their distance driver. We had the Golgotha, which is their mid-range. And this one's a rough one, Tetelestai, which is their putt and approach. But yeah, those are all the discs that were approved in the last 2 weeks. So if you're interested, go check those out. The links will be down below. And then as for other products that we like to promote shoes. Shoes are one of the most important things that you use out on the course. And there are 2 big options that are kind of disc golf centric. One is Ideo, and they provide the Syncrasy Evo and the Brawler. The Brawler is their more high top, 3/4 high top shoe. And then Vessi shoes. Vessi shoes is, and these are all, both of these options are waterproof and fairly lightweight. The only main difference I'd say between the 2, outside of design, there's always personal preference there, is Vessi shoes has more of a rake to their foot. So it's higher in the rear than it is in the toe. And Ideo shoes are closer to a Zero style shoe, so more flat foot shoe. But yeah, that's it for gear and equipment. Let's move on to Ken's fantasy segment. Ken, what do you got? I know that we only have, as for skip base, we don't have a lot, but there are, USDGC is involved in Hold My Bag. So what are your suggestions for those who are participating in Hold My Bag?
Sorry, you were breaking up pretty bad there, so it's hard for me to even tell where you were at. I know you're at my segment, the fantasy segment. I don't know if you said it, but ours is over. For skip base, yours truly won both points and the amount of wins that happened during the year, which really happy about. Pat on my back here. But then also, Disc Golf Show finished first and second. So kudos and congratulations to you 2, to Nick and Justin, for finishing first and second. So that was awesome to see the 3 of us up top there. And we'll definitely do it again next year. But like Nick was saying, we got to figure out something a little bit new. We didn't have full participation this year like we would like. We weren't getting nobody did any trades in our league. Even the interaction with the chat, I think, could have been a lot better, and it just wasn't. And it's a shame, because that's part of what I loved about when I did fantasy in other sports, that interaction between the people playing and, trash talking about this person or that person and, who they drafted, who they didn't draft, that kind of stuff, who they put in their lineup, who they didn't. None of that really happened except for me, Nick, and Justin that were doing it. So I don't know if the stakes need to be higher or not, but we got to do something. So, but
Well,
again, it was still fun. Definitely fun to do throughout the year and see who was most consistent. Because at least with my team, that's what it was the Holland Hanley won the points for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Well, she was my female pick. Calvin Heimberg was also in the points. I think he finished third in the points this year. He was also a pick of mine, So
my
everything. Go ahead.
my team was more solid than last year, but you, as per usual, Ken was kind of dominant again this year. You started off slow this year in Skip
Yes.
Ace, but you came through strong in the end.
And I had that European dip that I knew I was going to have. And that's where Justin really picked it up because he had the European players. He said in our chat, like, this is the reason why I drafted those players. So you can see where both strategies worked, so for projecting for next year when you're going into your draft or maybe as you go along in the year, don't forget to pick up those free agents, that may be playing certain tours because the tour's only going to get more fragmented. There's only
Yep.
going to be more places for people to play and earn money and be more regional maybe, or again, from country to country as the money doesn't grow at the Disc Golf Pro Tour level or at the PDGA level, because again, we didn't bring it up in our show, but the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship is significantly lower. Their prize pool is significantly lower. If that keeps happening, you're going to see the pros like Ben Callaway and others, again, we know Kristin stepped away, but who says that she's stepping away from disc golf altogether? Maybe she'll just play around Europe and be satisfied with that. We've got the whole New Zealand thing that happens that it might become a viable income for people to just stay there and that. But there's going to be some great disc golf that's being seen and being done there. But they just don't
That
have the
also
money or
reminds
the
me.
means to get to the States.
Yeah, and that reminds me, that is one thing I forgot to put in news that popped in my head. PDGA just announced an Asia tour.
Right?
So that's going to be interesting as well. Again, this is PDGA, not DGPT. So remember those two things are separate. But yeah, I mean, I hope there's always lulls in sports. Maybe this is the lull for us. Maybe this is one where it dips down a little bit before it makes that spike. It's going to continue to go up. It's just at what rate, So I think, yeah, I'm not
And to bring
worried.
it back to disc golf, so we don't get too much off of a tangent there. Again, it just makes it more fun because you got to pay attention more to who you're drafting. And that even puts more of an emphasis on trades, on free agency, things like that. As, I had Macy Valadiaz. I believe I drafted her as my third or fourth female. She played like 4 events for me, but I did have her in 2 or 3 times. And I got the 2 of the 3 times I put her in, it worked out for me. She was my best female player. So even though I kept her stashed away on the bench for a long time, those 2 or 3 times that I was able to use her really benefited me to keep me going with points and, keep me beating certain people. So,
Yeah, I think I spoke with Justin, played around with him this last weekend, and he stated specifically, like you said, he purposely picked specific European players for those European events. And then he goes, we ended up having to drop some of them because not a lot of people had them. That's one of the things that might change next year.
right.
If you don't have somebody, you don't have somebody. Make those trades and make those, get those free agents and whatnot. So that is, and maybe we have a wider array on each person's, maybe your team's a little larger. So that way you can, have those people in reserve on the bench. But yeah, I enjoy, like, ever since we did it last year when we started this up, I really enjoy the Skip Ace portion of it. Big shout out to JVD and him providing that. And again, with Hold My Bag too. competition breeds improvements, excellence, whatever you want to call it. I think that between those two, maybe something else will pop up, but hopefully they just keep and continue getting better.
Yep.
Moving forward, out of those events that you're going to be looking at picking people for via Hold My Bag, because like we said, Skip Ace is kind of done for the year, are this coming weekend, or technically starting on Thursday, October 9th through 12th, the 2025 USDGC, which is a PDGA major, is in Rock Hill, South Carolina. If you're in the area, $25 for one day. Go check it out. Again, during that event, October 9th through 12th, is the 2025 Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship. Same location. After that, we're going to have the October 16th, 19th event, the 10th, which is cool, Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship, presented by Barbasol. This is the last major, or I think it's considered a major, right? Or is it just considered a big event? It's just a big event, huh?
Yep, just
Yeah.
the final conclusion, because not everybody, you have to qualify.
Yeah.
That's what the whole point system is through the year, qualify.
Yeah, that's right. And that one's held this year in Bedford County, Lynchburg, Virginia. And then the final event, which isn't necessarily like those type of events, but November 7th to 9th is the DGPT Match Play Championship. And that will be held in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you're in that area, South Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina, you got some events near you that will be super fun to attend. So I'm a little jealous over here. We'll move on really quick here before we get to the end of the show. We do like to suggest different things when it comes to videos to watch or products. I think the first thing I would suggest is, as for a video, I just watched Silas Schultz's most recent video. It's called Pro Tour Playoffs in Disc Golf Paradise, his GMC vlog. The link will be down below. This one, he just keeps getting better. He continues to deliver amazingly edited videos. He's really good at how he creates these short videos that he has. They're usually around 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. I highly suggest going to subscribe to Silas Schultz on his YouTube channel, so go check them out. I would say the other thing that I will say for product review, I have a couple things here, and I don't have my knife on me.
Well, let me throw in real quick one of the viewer things that I tried to watch.
Please do.
Wow, the Jomez podcast with Nate and Brian. What is it? All Birdies, No Bogeys podcast?
All Birdies, No Bogeys?
They had the Tech Disc on. They had a guy from Tech Disc on. And they had Eliezer in the thumbnail. I would assume maybe that they put her in there because she won the distance contest at USDGC/Throw Pink last year. I hope they interviewed her. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, but that's definitely recommended viewing, and I'm going to go back and watch the rest of that also. They put it out in conjunction with their regular podcast they did reviewing MVP Open. So again, it's an extra one that they threw in there this week. Tech Disc, and I think an interview with Eliezer.
Okay, sweet. Okay, well, as for products, thank you for filling that time. As for products, I'm going to jump back to this. I think we may have done this in the past, but I'm going to do it again anyway. Legends of the Chains. It's a card game. Really, really cool. If you want to pause this video and you can see some of these cards here, I'll hold them up really quick. That's horrible.
It's not showing on your green screen.
There we go. There, we'll go like that.
Almost. They were at MVP, by
the backside.
I got a couple cards given to me at MVP. They were just wandering around, just handing out cards, and the guy I went with happened to play the game, so he grabbed them from me, had no problem. So
so Legends of the Chains. If you get tired of always being competitive, but you want to just have a super fun round,
right?
I would highly suggest picking up Legends of the Chains. I believe their website is Legends of the Chains, I think. But I played this with a group of people in the past, and it was just a blast. It was so much fun to play. You've got some DGPT cards, or no, some Brixton cards.
But go ahead.
You got Brixton cards right there.
Just putting them up there while you're talking about your other things.
Well, hey, you know what I got? I got some of these that I still haven't opened.
Oh, nice.
And this
was given to me by Marie. her caddy.
Yeah.
Silver.
So go check out. You like to have, if you want to have some fun rounds, go check out. I mean, it's along the same lines as what was the other card game? Do you know what the other card game was? I'm drawing a blank right now. There's a lot of little side games you can do. There's
the other card game.
Rip Revenge, Legends of the Chains, Disc Dice. That's another one. There's also a little disc golf pin that has like a little spin wheel that tells you what to throw and what not to throw, or what you can throw, what type of throw.
While you're wrapping up.
Yeah, all those kind of side fun games to make it a little more unique in your round. I highly suggest going out just to have fun rounds, just to get out of the mentality of, oh, I've got to shoot my best. Having those fun rounds, you may find some really fun lines to throw that may actually work better for you than what you're used to throwing. So again, go check out Legends of the Chains, all those those fun side games, as well as Silas Schultz for the YouTube channel. Let's move on. End of the show, guys. We know that you like to save money just like we do. Who doesn't? We have a few things that you can use to do so. One is if you're in the market for a new bag, you can go to Upper Park Disc Golf and you can use Disc Golf Show, code Disc Golf Show, and you can get a discount on your disc golf bag purchase through Upper Park Disc Golf. Again, big shout out to our partial sponsor, Disc Golf Deals USA. You can always go to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow and you can get 10% off your entire purchase. Some exclusions do apply, though they are few and far between. So go get your stuff there, 10% off. Outside of that, we always suggest go local. So big shout out to our local pro shop, Final Nine Sports, with 2 locations, one in Orangevale, one in Rocklin in Northern California area. And that is it for us. Before the end of the show here, please subscribe, click that notification bell for future videos, hit that like button, all those good things. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you get out on the course soon, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.